is there appears to be a shamrock. Is this significant?
Spiked all its life working life in Ireland, and it got restored in Ireland in the 80s, but in actual fact it was an Englishman who put it on when it came over here in 2000.
Just to confuse a lot of us. Okay, so what do we know about blackjack's history?
Well, sold initially in 1899 to a farmer in Border Country, County Antrim, and he had it for over 36 years because it was the same new owner who registered it for the road in 1935. By the 1960s it was derelict and in a shocking state, and then the O'Gorman family, who restored many engines, acquired it in the 80s and did the restoration.
Thanks very much. And now another of those famous names, Burrell of Thetford. In this particular case, one known as Cromwell. An altogether heavy-duty engine. Now, of course, we tend to think of the canopy as being the preserve of the roller and or the showman's engine. However, various other types of engine in agriculture as well did have canopies fitted, depending on the owner or operator's view on protecting their crew or indeed themselves from the weather. Racer barrels, no less, as we go to... Oh dear, I really haven't got the energy to chase the engine crews around today. This is just... Right, let's move on. Now, we have here one engine which appears to have had a bit of a history at the very least out near where I come from. You don't know much about it. Come on, tell us about it. That's whatever you know. We know that. I mean, we've got a plate here from Cambridgeshire.
Yeah, honestly, I don't really know the history of it. I'm driving it.
This is what happens, of course, when you get the agency driver on. Oh, you know about it, do you? Okay, well, tell us what you know. And that's about it. Well, go on then, facts, keep going. Right, well, we're not sure about the history, but what we do know is that it's spent an amount of its time in Cheveley in Cambridgeshire, and also has actually got quite a long preservation history. In fact, we have rally flags here dating right back to the late 1950s when the steam rally movement really started. Now, you're the man in the know, are you?
Well, this engine supplied new in December 1902. Pretty good garden, it's all around engine. It then went to the Nichols family. They were the second owners, one of the other owners to work this engine, working on it. The Nichols son then became a apprentice to the daughter for 8 years. Then we were on a sort of 10 engines, and I don't understand the only engine of the test arrived. Mr. Nichols then went on to rally this engine, starting in 1955, right at the early time of preservation, and stayed within the Nichols family till some 45 years ago. Then the engine disappeared off the rally circuit for some 30 years until we purchased the engine. And then we got the engine up and running again and tried to...
Right. Right. Didn't get a signal up here, that's better. 1902 Fowler. Did you for us earlier on this afternoon with the great magnet? And we're going to have another day tomorrow. So now we have to just walk around or roll on. Okay, more common. We discovered that this type of roller wasn't really ideal for the work. One of the problems, apart from anything else, being that there was a stop well before you go forward to reverse. So the tendency was that actually with the ripple was running down. So the solution was the parts, which is a size of the flight wheel that's designed, although actually there's two flywheels, one on the crankshaft, and we also fitted with an instant reverse capability, so that you can go from forward to reverse without any danger whatsoever, leaving that well as a tarmac. So one of the first purpose-built tarmac rollers, also equipped with private pipes so to be able to water the roll to prevent the tarmac from sticking to it. And one of a couple of particularly specific designs that we were seeing. Anyway, second, well, no. Talking about one bottle roller. It has to be said that the bottles in preservation tend not to be as the rollers are, doesn't it? Clearly not, and I'm sure we all have our own view about them, but what can you tell us about this particular roller? So in fact, it has two famous steam names in its history. Yes. I know it's really hoping to find one that's been in a playground somewhere. There must be a playground over here somewhere. But anyway, moving on to that was a very good word. Come here a minute. Come here. Oh, alright. Anyway. Oriana, another example of the road engine oil rise. It's fairly disastrous, as I'm sure you can imagine. One of the other ways of solving that problem, of course, as I say, was the belly tanks, as well as the water storage under the floor of the tender. But now, moving on to Lady Hesketh. As I mentioned, I think the only example we see here today of a in truly convertible trim of a convertible engine.
Yeah, that's correct. I think it's the only one here today. Built in 1920, worked for Aberystwyth Council for 37 years, and has now been in preservation for almost 50.
And the one thing that always confuses me about this one is the name Lady Hesketh, because I thought the Hesketh family estates were in Northamptonshire.
Or Lancashire. Mother-in-law was a Hesketh, so I named it after mother-in-law.
That would explain it. So now tell us a little bit about Elphin, which I take it is not named after your mother-in-law.
So that is a replica steam launch, built about 30 years ago, a typical Edwardian pleasure launch.
Although in this case, with a sort of, still with the typical type of engine fitted, albeit a large fibre hull, I believe.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. Five hole, but it's a replica engine as well. That was built about 30 years ago.
But to the original pattern.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Now the other thing that was often seen on this type of launch was a thing called the Windermere kettle. Do we have such a? Yes, we have one. Perhaps you'd like to explain how it works.
The captain will explain how.
Oh, I see. Well, provided the radio signal will go that far. So tell us about the Windermere kettle. It sounds very sort of Edwardian.
I'd like one in my kitchen. It boils water in less than 2 minutes. It boils all that water in less than 2 minutes.
And the way it does it is by taking steam from the boiler and basically through a coil.
Exactly, yes. You pass steam through tubes in the water, and of course the water gets hot.
Yeah, so you're drinking your well, obviously your water for your tea, very, very swiftly boiled. And I know, in fact, I was at a show a few years ago where one of the miniature engine lads built a Windermere kettle just so that they could have a tea party in the middle of the arena during the steam parade. Now, we move to a Foster, another of the Lincolnshire or Eastern Counties companies. Foster's actually based in Lincoln itself. And you may notice on the front the representation of a wartime tank on the smoke box door ring. Now, that reflects the fact that Fosters were involved in the construction of the very first tanks during World War I, 1914-18. This particular engine, however, if I remember rightly, dates from about 1931, so it's one of the much, much later production, really one of the last indeed, of the Foster steam engines put into agricultural use. The Mascot, now another of our lighter 5-ton steam tractors from Marshall, went to the Eastern Counties Haulage Company of Ipswich and was registered originally in Lincolnshire. And in fact it was